You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
So the bit rattling around my head is this. We have more tools to create content than ever before, right? But audiences are literally deleting their apps just to get away from it.
Yeah, it's a bizarre paradox.
It really is. I mean, it feels like walking into a room where the wallpaper is just slightly, I don't know, off. Everything looks fine at a quick glance. But stare a second longer, and you realize the whole pattern is completely synthetic.
Right, and it gives you this quiet, creeping headache because we successfully automated the generation of text, but we somehow managed to fracture the actual consumption of it in the process.
Exactly. And here on Vocal Technologist, we are taking a proper look at that exact shift. We are going to just pick apart the tension between this infinite flood of artificial content and the very real digital burnout it's causing.
Because the old digital playbooks are just buckling under the weight of their own automation.
Oh, absolutely.
And the smartest brands, they are quietly watching this happen and deciding to jump ship. They are moving away from the algorithmic feed and back to intentional communities, and surprisingly, actual physical reality.
Which sounds completely backwards, but let's start with the burnout itself. Because it's not just some, vague cultural vibe anymore. The sheer volume of artificial content taking over our feeds is, well, it's staggering.
Yeah, there is data here from Pangram where they looked at over 1 million posts on LinkedIn.
Right.
It turns out that over 40% of long-form posts on that platform are fully AI generated.
40%. I mean, let that sink in.
Yeah, almost half of the deep, supposedly insightful professional thoughts you read are just a machine mathematically guessing the most probable next word.
It's heaps depressing when you put it like that.
And it gets worse. If you look at posts over 250 words across social media generally, a quarter of them are getting flagged as AI.
Which makes these platforms feel entirely hollow. I mean, professional networks used to be where you went to see actual, genuine human career updates.
Yeah.
Now it's just, bots congratulating other bots on synergizing deliverable.
Exactly. And there's a real cognitive load that comes with that.
Yeah.
When you read something online now, your brain is constantly running this background calculation. Like, is this real? Did a human actually experience this? Or is this just a hallucination?
That micro-evaluation is exhausting. You don't even realize you're doing it half the time.
Right, which explains why the human reaction is so extreme. People aren't just rolling their eyes anymore, they are actively retreating.
Yeah, the behavioral data shows 55% of users are just posting less overall. And almost half, 47%, have actively deleted apps from their phones.
Yeah.
Just because of the stress.
Think about the psychology of that for a second. For Gen Z specifically, over half of them are reporting that just maintaining a social presence feels like a massive chore.
Like a part-time job you can't quit.
Exactly. It's an obligation. It's a performance they feel they have to keep up. So when they finally log off, the overriding emotion isn't fear of missing out, it's relief.
I have to be honest, I read these numbers and I get genuinely skeptical about the entire trajectory of this tech.
How do you mean?
Well, when we were growing up, getting online was the escape, right? Now you're telling me that for an entire generation, logging off is the escape. I mean, are we just building incredibly advanced tools so we can pump out dodgy, mediocre text faster purely to annoy people quicker?
That is a very fair challenge because the immediate consequence of that dodgy automated flood is a total collapse in trust,
Right.
especially for certain formats. The traditional B2B blog is a prime example. It's completely collapsing.
Which used to be the gold standard.
Yeah, for years, churning out generic SEO articles was how you caught web traffic. But now, with AI overviews instantly summarizing things and people developing a natural instinct for ignoring generic text, that entire playbook is losing heaps of ground.
But if they can't just write a 500-word blog post and expect a search engine to send them leads, how are companies adapting? I mean, they can't just stop marketing.
Well, they are replacing those generic blogs with owned media.
Okay.
Instead of chasing massive anonymous reach with search engine bait, they are building highly specific publications for very niche audiences. They're treating their output like a proper media company would.
So it's more about quality over sheer volume.
Exactly. Distribution comes from actual human interviews, syndication, and genuine sharing, rather than just hoping an algorithm picks it up and throws it in front of a stranger.
Right, but the underlying problems consumers have haven't magically disappeared. People still need answers, right?
Yeah.
If they are scrolling less and actively ignoring these generic blogs, they have to be finding information somewhere else.
Oh, they are. They're shifting to AI chat platforms. And that behavior is fundamentally rewriting how visibility works on the internet. Major head terms are quietly losing search volume.
Let's talk about the implications of that, because the drop in the entertainment category was wild to me. Search volume for those massive head terms fell by 16%.
Yeah, it's a huge drop.
We aren't talking about obscure niche questions here.
Yeah.
We're talking about the biggest, most obvious searches just vanishing from traditional engines.
Because people are skipping traditional search entirely for that top-level discovery.
Why bother with the middleman? Right?
Exactly. If you search for best CRM software on a traditional engine, you get, 14 sponsored ads and then 3 heavily engineered blogs that all say the exact same thing.
It's all just friction.
Right. But if you ask a chatbot, you get a synthesized answer immediately.
Okay, so if search behavior is moving that aggressively, I assume brands are just taking all their ad money out of traditional search engines and dumping it directly into ChatGPT and Claude.
You'd reckon, wouldn't you?
I mean, the AI companies must be absolutely minting it in ad revenue.
But here's the bizarre twist. OpenAI is actually on pace to miss its own ad revenue forecast by about 90%.
90%. Wait, really? That is a colossal miss.
Yeah.
They are basically the fastest growing consumer app in history. How do you miss by 90%?
Because the entire AI ad market currently tops out at only about $5.4 billion. To hit their future targets, it needs to grow roughly 100 times over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the money hasn't figured out how to follow the users yet because the ad products inside these chat interfaces are incredibly difficult to get right.
Because it breaks the illusion.
Exactly. If you are having a one-on-one conversation with an AI, injecting a display ad completely ruins the illusion of a helpful, unbiased assistant.
So we have this weird economic limbo. The users have moved, but the traditional ad ecosystem hasn't caught up. That feels like an insane opportunity for anyone paying attention.
Massive!
I was looking at that huge SEMrush study in the pile. They analyzed 50,000 brands inside ChatGPT to see who actually gets recommended when a user asks for advice.
And the results were staggering. Only 15% of categories actually have a clear leader in the AI's answers.
Which means 85% of the map is totally blank. It's like a massive digital land grab. But we've all just realized nobody is claiming the territory yet.
Yep.
And, if you are keen on untangling these sorts of concepts with us, just hit subscribe in your feed. We genuinely love having you here.
But to win that blank map, you really have to understand how a large language model actually decides what to recommend.
Because it's not like the old days of SEO.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all. You can't trick it by stuffing a clever prompt or buying a bunch of cheap backlinks from dodgy sites.
Right, so how does it actually work? Because topical authority gets thrown around heaps. But what does that actually mean to a machine? If I'm trying to explain this to a mate at the pub, how does an AI choose a winner?
Well, large language models map concepts using vectors. Think of it like a massive, multi-dimensional web of relationships.
Okay, I'm with you.
When an AI generates an answer, it is pulling from the strongest mathematical connections in its training data. So if you want it to recommend your brand for a specific problem, your brand name needs to be statistically entangled with the solution.
Right, so it needs to see them together constantly.
Exactly. Across hundreds of high-quality, in-depth articles, white papers, and real discussions across the internet.
So it is not about being the loudest on one single web page. It is about being the foundational knowledge base the AI actually learned from in the first place.
Precisely. Once you gain a wide lead in that training data, the AI literally cannot untangle the concept of, say, best software for X from your specific brand. The vector connection is just too strong.
That makes sense.
And it becomes mathematically incredibly hard for competitors to overtake you because they can't go back and rewrite the internet's history.
But this creates a massive measurement headache for marketers, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because if I am asking a chatbot for software recommendations, I am making my buying decision inside the chat window. By the time I actually open a browser, I am just navigating directly to the winner's website.
Which is exactly why branded search volume is dropping across the board. But you have to realize this is a measurement gap, not a demand decline.
Right.
The decisions are just happening upstream, In private chat windows, you cannot track. If you misread weaker branded search volume as a weaker brand, you might underinvest in brand building right when you need it most.
It is like looking at a thermometer in the wrong room. and concluding the whole house is freezing.
That is a great way to put it.
But if algorithms are getting harder to game,
Yeah.
and our feeds are flooded with that synthetic wallpaper we talked about, how does anyone actually stand out?
Well, you can't rely on automated copy.
Right, because you can't use automated copy to build that topical authority. The machines know when they're reading machine text.
No, you can't. The only way to win that blank map is through rigorous original research and actual human creativity. In fact, people are getting so violently allergic to the automated tone that developers are building tools just to hide it.
Oh, have you seen the new /NoI/SLOP skill?
Yes, absolutely brilliant name.
It really is.
It's a free open source tool created specifically to strip out over 20 common repetitive AI patterns from writing.
We're talking about those fake bloated insights, the vague analysis, those infuriatingly generic openers, like in a rapidly evolving digital world.
I feel my blood pressure rising just hearing that phrase. It's everywhere.
It's the worst. And words like delve or tapestry.
Yes, the tool literally scrubs the text to force it to sound human and direct again. It strips all of that out. It is proof that audiences are just starving for something real and specific.
That craving for specificity brings me to my absolute favorite part of this research.
Oh, the soap.
Yes. We are talking about all this cutting-edge tech, right?
Yeah.
Neural networks and vector mapping. But the ultimate playbook for beating it comes from a bloke named Claude Hopkins selling Palmolive soap over 100 years ago.
It's such a brilliant historical parallel.
It really is. He was in an incredibly crowded market. Everyone was selling soap, and everyone was writing these fluffy, poetic advertisements about how nice it smelled and how beautiful it made you look.
Just generic fluff.
Exactly. But Hopkins won the market not by writing better adjectives, but by doing actual boots-on-the-ground research.
He went looking for the undeniable facts.
He literally went to the factory, he surveyed hundreds of people, figured out exactly what frustrated them about washing, and then he used measurable, undeniable evidence.
Right. He didn't just say, our soap is very sudsy.
No. He ran tests and advertised that it lathered 250 times its own volume. He proved the lather lasted 10 full minutes on the face. He noted it had 15% water absorption in 1 minute.
It's just so specific.
Better, harder research beat better copy.
And that is the exact opposite of what AI content generation encourages today.
Right.
AI platforms actively encourage you to skip the hard research, ignore the factory floor, and just generate the words. It creates this dangerous trap that psychologists are starting to call creative debt.
Creative debt. That is a heavy concept.
It is.
Think about your own workflow. How many times have you let an AI write an email draft or a project summary just to get it off your desk, only to spend 20 minutes aggressively rewriting it because it sounded like a corporate robot?
All the time.
You aren't actually saving time, are you? You're just shifting your anxiety.
Spot on. Because creative work requires dedicated, uninterrupted time to think. When you constantly delay actual creative problem solving to focus on urgent automated generation tasks, you accumulate this debt.
It piles up.
Yeah, and the real danger is that avoiding the hard work eventually becomes part of your professional identity. You stop seeing yourself as a creator and start seeing yourself as just an editor of a machine's output.
The data completely backs up that feeling of shifting the burden, too. We're seeing that AI users save about 5 hours a week generating initial drafts.
Sounds great on paper.
Right. But then they lose over 3 hours just troubleshooting the tools, fixing the hallucinatory logic and scrubbing out that algorithmic tone.
Yeah, the technology accelerates the easiest part, the first draft,
Yeah.
but the heavy lifting of accuracy and accountability is still entirely on your shoulders.
Exactly. So if we accept that trying to outright a machine using another machine is a losing game, the smartest brands are changing the battlefield entirely.
They have to.
Beating the AI slop isn't about better prompts. It's about shifting where and how we engage with people, moving away from mindless, infinite scrolling and towards highly intentional environments.
Which totally contradicts the narrative we hear constantly, right? We are told reading is dead, attention spans are completely fried, and if your video isn't 5 seconds long, nobody will watch it.
Yeah, that's the common wisdom.
But the actual economic data tells a completely counterintuitive story. The death of reading is a complete myth.
Really?
Print book sales are actually higher now than they were a decade ago. Readers are spending more time with physical books daily than they did 20 years ago. We saw nearly 400 independent bookstores open in a single year.
So people haven't stopped reading. They're just choosing to read with strict intent.
Exactly. Long-form reading is becoming a deliberate, protected choice. They are closing the feed and opening a physical book because a book won't suddenly refresh and show them a targeted ad.
You don't have to keep your guard up.
Right. If you want sustained human attention now, you have to earn it in a space they respect.
Which is why you are seeing this massive pivot from generating content to building communities. Brands are realizing that dumping articles into a void doesn't work. Look at platforms like Reddit.
Huge shift there.
The sentiment there evolves through actual debate and social proof. People want to participate. They want to belong to a fandom or a shared interest group, not just be interrupted by a billboard.
It is the difference between shouting at someone through a megaphone from a passing car and actually pulling up a chair and joining them at a table.
That is a great way to put it. But it is not just digital communities either. If people are rejecting the digital feed, the logical assumption is they just retreat into smaller online groups. But the data on physical, real-world spaces is what really caught me off guard.
Oh, physical presence is rapidly becoming the ultimate premium commodity.
Right. And the prime example here, and I couldn't believe this, is shopping malls.
Malls.
Malls. I reckon everyone thought malls were ancient history, just completely dead and buried by online delivery. How on earth are they suddenly the premium alternative to a dodgy digital feed? You've got to be having a land.
It sounds totally backwards, I know. But the underlying logic is rock solid. Media buyers are pouring serious money back into mall advertising because malls offer the one thing the fragmented digital world simply cannot fake:
What's that?
a physically present, highly captive, and highly attentive audience.
Because they aren't just rows of failing clothes shops anymore, are they?
Yeah.
They have completely pivoted their business model.
Yeah, malls have transformed into lifestyle hubs. People are going there for fitness classes, for healthcare appointments, for high-end dining.
They are actually spending time there.
They are spending hours physically dwelling in these spaces. And because the advertising inventory inside them is now fully digitized, marketers can target screens and measure the results through actual foot traffic and real-world spend data.
That's wild.
It is a highly intentional, high-friction physical environment.
That word, friction, just keeps coming up. I was looking at the case study on trade shows. We have all been to a conference and grabbed a cheap branded pen off a table that we just throw away the next day, right?
Oh, heaps of times. It's a completely mindless transaction.
Exactly. But now physical swag is being engineered to create deliberate human friction.
Because that friction is where the value actually lives. Look at the campaign run by a company called Middesk.
Right, the luggage tags.
Yes. Instead of handing out thousands of cheap t-shirts, they built a tiered physical swag strategy. They took really high-value, clever items like these premium luggage tags, and they gated them behind actual human interactions.
So you couldn't just swipe it off the table while the rep was looking away?
No. You had to book a formal sales meeting or agree to participate in a case study to get one. You actually had to look a person in the eye.
And it worked brilliantly. They generated 10 times their activation spend in new sales pipeline.
But more interestingly, they saw a steep jump in their digital community. Their LinkedIn followers spiked, driven entirely by attendees proudly pinning those physical luggage tags to their bags and posting about them.
That's fascinating.
It was a physical, real-world item driving digital community, all rooted in an unavoidable face-to-face conversation.
It really pulls this whole bizarre picture together, doesn't it? We started by looking at this overwhelming flood of automated text. A digital world where everyone is exhausted, feeds are clogged with generic slop, and nearly half of what you read might be mathematically hallucinated by a bot.
And the lazy instinct is to fight fire with fire.
Right, to use more AI to generate more content just to try and break through the algorithm.
But all the behavioral data and economic indicators show that is a complete dead end.
The companies that are actually going to thrive aren't the ones pumping out the most automated text. They're the ones doing the slow, rigorous, boots-on-the-ground human research.
Yeah.
The ones leaning into deliberate, long-form reading and putting their actual resources into physical presence.
It is a complete inversion of what we have been told the hyper-automated future was supposed to look like.
It makes you wonder, if authentic human friction is the new premium, How long until the AI companies start artificially coding mistakes and delays into their bots, just to make them feel a bit more like us? Vocal Technologists, see you soon.
Spoken Tech for your ears.